It's time for this week's Wrestling Perspective podcast. I'm Dennis Farrell. He's a Canadian destroyer, Petey Williams. What's up, bud?
How's she going, eh?
So, this is going to be a different kind of Wrestling Perspective podcast. Right now, we're a little crunched for time. You're actually filming a upcoming episode of Impact. This is after Redemption 18. Let's talk about Redemption 18. Going in, I have said many times that I wasn't sure that this was going to be a good pay-per-view. You kind of talked me off the fence. And, between you and I and the people that listen, I actually stole the pay-per-view off the internet because I wasn't quite sure I wanted to spend the money. Thank you, Russia, for the free feed. And I got to see the pay-per-view, and I was blown away.
Oh, well, thank you. I thought, Sunday was a big hit for us in the company. So let me start off when I say we and all that kind of stuff. So my role has changed a little bit. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or later.
Yeah, let's talk about it now because that goes into later.
Yeah, so, my role has changed a little bit down here at Impact. So I'm half talent, I guess. I wouldn't even say half. I would say, if we're doing Scott Steiner math, 33 1/3% talent. And, the rest. Now I'm doing a lot more agenting, producing of segments and promos and all that kind of stuff, and helping with the writing and all that. So just a little bit different role. But as for Redemption, I really enjoyed my match with Matt Sydal. And believe it or not, that was the third time we've ever worked each other since the first time we've worked each other 15 years ago. It was 15 years ago. Then we wrestled each other in January, I believe, for Destiny in Toronto, which was, I believe, filmed for Impact. It was for the Grand Championship. And then last night. And the promo, you want to talk about the promo with Scott Steiner and I?
We have to. To me, that was the highlight of the night.
So that wasn't originally written into the script. Okay? And then what's good about, Scott and Sanjay, they know about Scott Steiner and I's history. So Scott D'Amore and Sanjay were like, hey, let's just put a little promo in there, like a quick minute and a half or whatever. So they were like, Petey, you be talking about your title match, and then we'll send Scott in. And initially they didn't know how much Scott would want to do. So initially they wanted I stop my promo. If hands over, they see Scott. It's kind of like a moment there. Let it sink in because we have a lot of history together. And then he had just won the tag team titles. And, he kind of gives me a good luck, and that's it. And I said, well, hold on. We got to get some more out of this. I'm like, let me see if I could talk to Steiner and see if I could get him to do some math. So, initially I wanted him to do, I alluded to it, talking about 66 2/3 and my chances and all that kind of stuff. And then he came in and, you got to check it out. He was talking about fractions and stuff like that, my Canadian math, and just kind of bearing me. But if you watch my face the entire time, I'm almost fanboying it. Just geeking out. I'm laughing. I'm like, of course, this is Scott. This is what he does. And then afterwards, when he walks off and wishes me luck, I say, hey, after the show, Cracker Barrel, kind of putting in that little Easter egg, because that's what I talk about on Colt Cabana's podcast and stuff like that. So that promo right there was totally for us boys to pop the boys, and for anybody else that follows, Scott and I's history and stuff like that, and likes that kind of Easter egg stuff. So it was more of an Easter egg than anything else, and that just made my night, my week so far, and it just put me in a great mood.
Has Colt heard it yet? Do you know?
The one we just did?
Yes, the new promo.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. See, I found out some new developments that I don't know if are true. They're rumor, but somebody told me that whole promo, that math promo, was written by Vince Russo.
Really?
And Scott just recited it.
I'm going to have to text Russo.
Well, I don't know, but I don't think it's true, because when we initially did the promo, you get the sheet of kind of the bullet points of what we're trying to discuss in this promo, the points we need to get over with, where the storyline's going. So on the bullet points, if I remember correctly, it was at Sacrifice against Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. and it just said, touch on that. It was like a one-line thing, touch on the match, whatever. They don't really give Scott. They give him creative control of what he wants to say because he knows his character better than anybody else. But I heard that, and I don't believe it though. I do not believe it one bit. And when I went to the back and I asked Scott, I'm like, hey Scott, like, what do you think of this? You should do math and stuff like that. Can you do another math problem? He's like, oh man, I don't remember what I said in that promo. Of course he doesn't, right? I mean, it was a whole math equation.
Right.
So I said, make something up. And he says to me, well, the math's got to add up. And I'm like, and then I was thinking in my head, I'm like, well, you know what? If you, like, that one guy tweeted us, and he tweeted it out, like, one math professor from somewhere, he actually did the whole entire math on a whiteboard, and it actually, the math added up, believe it or not. Yes, you didn't see that picture online?
I did see the picture, but I didn't know if it actually added up.
Well, for the sake of this argument, let's say yeah.
So, basically, Scott Steiner's the genius and we're all the idiots? Is that what you just told me?
Yes. We are the idiots in this world, and he's the genius.
Holy cow, my mind is just... Does Scott Steiner have a sense of humor about himself? Honestly, because I've been asked that question to ask you several times, and any Redemption review show I've listened to lately, they've always said, Scott Steiner has to have a sense of humor about himself. Does he?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, asking him to do what I asked him to do, if he was like, no, I don't want to do it, then it wouldn't have got done, right? Like, you'd be like, no, let's do something else. Because I mean, I can't force him. I could just ask. But the thing is, Kate, think about it. If I'm in his position, and somebody asks me like, hey, Petey, can you do this? And like, you got multiple people asking you and stuff like that. And then when the promo happens, I like it. It's like, okay, it works and it's got to be funny. I don't think I think he's more clever than all of us and a genius, because I don't think he alludes to like, yeah, this is funny. Like he doesn't laugh about it like we do. Like we all sit there afterwards and laugh and be like, that was great. That was awesome. And he's just like, all right, cool. And walks away almost like nonchalant. I don't know. But I think he knows that it's funny. He knows, but he's not letting us know that he knows.
How was the locker room after Steiner did a Frankensteiner at 55 years old?
Oh, they loved it, and you saw the crowd, right? First they're booing him, saying you suck and all that kind of stuff. Hits the Frankensteiner, this place goes unglued. He's done it before. Like I remember, I think him and his brother wrestled somebody like 10 years ago on our show at a pay-per-view. It might have been Lockdown or something. Maybe they were wrestling LAX or something, and he gave a Frankensteiner, and the place just comes unglued. I mean, and that's what they said. They said 55 years old, and this guy's doing Frankensteiners out there. He's working his butt off all week too, man.
It looked like he killed himself.
I saw it, and I don't think so.
He laid there on that mat for it's. In reality, it was probably 7 to 10 seconds, but it felt like an eternity.
I mean, okay, again, he's 55 years old. He's been doing this for, 30, probably more than 30 years. I mean, and I would lay there too if I was 55. Like, okay, I'm going to take a break right now, kind of deal.
What was the meetings like, the post-pay-per-view meetings with you and Sanjay and Scott locked in a room after Redemption?
I mean, I can't talk too much about it, but, what I can gather is that it was a hit, but we don't get to, so with our TV schedule, we don't really get to sit there and review the show too much. We could talk about hits and misses and stuff like that, kind of things that were home runs. And, this week we did kind of rewrite some things based on what happened at the pay-per-view, and, and things happen, right? But our main goal is like, hey, we have a bunch of shows to do tomorrow. We got to get on track, not waste time, and, get these things sorted out. So, I mean, we don't really have time to like sit back and reflect, but some changes have been made going forward, and based on the pay-per-view and what happened and stuff like that. I mean, I know that the House of Hardcore match, big hit. I think everybody loved it. Told a great story. I don't know if you watched that segment, that match and stuff. Yeah, but I thought that was great with Sammy on the ropes at the end. The only thing I said, I'm backstage afterwards when all the doctors are checking on Eddie's wife. I'm like, okay, you got 3 trained medical doctors. Like those are legit. Like I think a couple of them are trainers and one guy's an actual doctor. Like they're legit doctors and stuff. They're not actors. And I said, can we at least have one of those doctors at least check on Sammy? Like it looks like he's like crucified up there, just a bloody mess. I'm like, wouldn't any doctor say, hey, are you okay?
That makes sense. I thought it was kind of poetic where he was left out there by himself to hang for his sins, almost like the old Tommy Dreamer Raven thing.
Yep, exactly.
So I thought that was kind of poetic. And I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but how long or what kind of agreement do you guys have? I feel like I'm interviewing my co-host partner, but what kind of a agreement do you guys have with Tommy Dreamer and House of Hardcore?
I would say like the same agreement that we have with other independent groups that we work with, like Destiny and even like Lucha Underground and stuff like that. It's like, hey, we're going to film stuff on your show and we're going to use your guys. And, it's kind of like you scratch our backs, we scratch yours. Monetary wise, when it comes to money, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, so I know they're gonna, they'll film some stuff in the upcoming, probably at House of Hardcore, in other locations like Impact usually does. So, and it's good because, it gets Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore national coverage, like on our television show, and then as well, Tommy will also work for us and help our product as well. So, it's a win-win for everybody, like we talked about before in the past.
Did you guys monitor Twitter during the pay-per-view to see what the fans were saying, or was that an afterthought?
You know what? I was like, I'm so busy down here now that I wasn't really monitoring it. But from what we got was, people thought it was a hit. They liked a lot of it, which is good. That's what we were going for. And even all week, man, I haven't had time to do anything. Like the next day, I believe after the pay-per-view, I had to do some PR stuff at like this golf course and stuff like that. So it was like up in the hotel room at night, go to bed at like 3:30 a.m., wake up at like 9 or 8:30 and go golfing, and then get to the production meeting on time, and then get everything wrapped up. And yeah, it's a lot. Like just today, I wasn't supposed to have a match, and then they had to, like 45 minutes before the show starts, like, hey, can you be the first match on our Explosion with one of the OVE guys? And I'm like, what? Sure, like I've been trying to politic all day to not be in a match so I can do my other stuff, but it is what it is. And I had Jake Christ, he's the blonde one in OVE. We had a nice 8-minute match, and it was phenomenal. We both loved it, and I loved it because, he's just been doing so much brawling OVE with like Eddie and Tommy and all that. And he's been brawling with LAX, and people don't see nationally that OVE can actually wrestle. Like Jake is a really good wrestler. So we went out there, we had a wrestling match, and people got to see a different side of him. I mean, it's not going to air on Impact because it's our Explosion, but that airs in Canada and 120 other different countries and all that kind of stuff. So I was really happy with that match.
That's cool. I'm jealous because I sit back here and I get the text and I'm happy for you. But this is awesome. The swag from the wrestlers. Is there anything different from these guys coming into the locker room from the past 6 months than after an amazing pay-per-view as Redemption was now?
Well, these are long days though, and I think at this point we're on day 3, well, technically day 4 pay-per-view, and then day 3 of filming that we're finishing up. And it's just tough. Like, a lot of the talent, since they're in like a storyline that they have to be on every week, they might have like an in-ring and then come back and then have to wrestle, and then it's a lot. So I know that nobody's just like sitting here going like, man, that was good. You don't even have time to talk about your match afterwards because you got to get ready for your next match. So it's kind of tough because we're rushed. Not like in the old days where we could sit back and like be like, yeah, that was great. Let's talk about the match, what we could do to get better and stuff like that. But I would say it's a positive locker room feel. Definitely. I mean, Scott Steiner just makes everybody happy, right?
He's very likable.
Yeah.
Other than at the pay-per-view Rich Swann, which was widely reported that he was there, were there any other guys just kind of hanging out backstage that you were kind of shocked to see?
No. I mean, I'm trying to think.
And you can give away. How about that?
No, I mean, Rich Swann was here, obviously, to support his. I think he's dating Sue Young.
Yes.
Right?
Dating or married? I think he's married to her.
Yeah. Okay, we'll say married. I mean, they're in some sort of relationship. Yeah, I mean, he was here for, I think, one. He was here on Monday as well. I don't remember if he was here yesterday. Wasn't here tonight. So, but he was here to support her and stuff like that. And, I was in charge of, like, one of her big segments that came out, like, I thought very well, like exactly how I had wanted it to be laid out. With, I don't want to ruin anything, but it's already happened. But she's got these undead bridesmaids and stuff, and all this type of stuff. It was just, I don't want to give it away. Maybe we could talk about it again after it airs. But man, I was so happy with it. I got goosebumps. I literally got goosebumps when I'm watching it on the monitor, and I wasn't even in the match, but like it's good as an artist that you can like come up with something, or that they have it on paper, kind of what they want, but then you make it reality, and then you get to watch it like unfold and stuff like that. And it's different from when you're performing in the ring, because when it's happening, you're not watching it. You're not watching it till after the fact, and that's different because you've already lived it and experienced it. So this is a totally new thing to me that I'm experiencing that I'm really enjoying.
Other than, I guess on the Dougcast this week, I had to ask James, because he runs his own promotion, who taught him how to book, and he said Axel Rotten did, who actually learned from Paul Heyman. Who taught you how to book a match, how to produce it, and see it through?
Nobody. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if, like, I've been doing, but you would think like some wrestlers are really good, but maybe they don't have the mind frame to produce a segment like that with a bunch of moving parts and stuff like that. But I want to say nobody. I mean, I kind of sit back and watch and learn from like Scott and all that kind of stuff, or what I see on TV, stuff produced on TV. I don't just like watch it. I think like, oh, I wonder how everything that went into it, So, I mean, it kind of happens, and it's tough to say it. And I don't book matches. Like, they'll have it on paper what's going on, and obviously the talent, I'll allow them to, we allow them to have like, oh, they're having a great match kind of deal. But what we need to do we might have this like, we have to have tell a story right here, so you need to do this, and you need to do this at the end. And sometimes just like, you over clean, finish, or depending where you're wanting to go with the story and stuff like that. But I would just say sit back and learning and stuff like that with the production of this, like, like I'll tell you one thing. At the end of the one match, they wanted a certain thing, and I was like, okay, but how do we make this better? Like, I'm always looking at like, how do we make this better? So I was like, ooh, let's do this, and it'll kind of look like The Walking Dead or something like that. And that's what it came out like. So, I do kind of steal ideas. It wasn't exactly The Walking Dead, but that's like what I'm thinking about in my mind and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. It's just coming up with ideas and then getting them approved, and, doing walkthroughs help, like prior to the show, like doing it and seeing it and stuff like that, see what you got to tweak. It wasn't like, okay, we're just going to talk about it and do it. Like, we blocked it all out and everything. So, a lot of production went into it, and it was all good.
On last week's Wrestling Perspective podcast, I said if you did not come back with the X Division Championship, I was going to fire you and hire Josh Matthews. I did, and then I ended up firing him and bringing you back.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, they made the right call. I mean,
was there ever a moment where you thought they were going to put a belt on you? I mean, because you didn't know. Going into the pay-per-view, you even talked about it on the podcast, like, I'll find out when I get there. But after the fact, talking to them, was there ever a discussion of you winning that belt?
Not that maybe, because previously, last time we were here, it was in like a 80% chance we were going to film Redemption in Toronto. But it was not confirmed yet. So all our promos, like here, we were saying like, I'll see you April 22nd at Redemption, rather than like, I'll see you in Toronto at Redemption. You know what I mean? So had we been in Toronto, the way they were building it, it seemed like they were going to have me win it in Toronto. But they had a different storyline plan and all that kind of stuff that didn't make sense to do in the United States. So, you know, I don't know if they booked themselves in a corner or, you know, one thing they didn't air on last week's Impact was we actually had an 8-man tag. It was myself, Tommy Dreamer, Austin Aries, and Moose versus two of the OV, like Sammy and Jake, Alberto and Matt Sydal. That match was supposed to happen, but then Alberto got fired. So we really couldn't air that match because at the end of it, it was a stare-off with, like, between Alberto and Austin Aries, and that was in our pay-per-view match. So it didn't make sense. So they had to cut it, and then they put in a kind of like a package to promote Redemption. So, and they had Matt Sydal beat me there. So it all kind of made sense, but then it didn't end up in Toronto, and then, you know, they just had to go back and say, okay, we're keeping it on Matt. That makes sense. It's the right call, and I'm not upset at all. I mean, it's professional wrestling. Like, my day will come another time.
Not that you would tell us if you know, but a couple of the questions I've been getting on Twitter and Facebook, this one from Michael David Savage, my new ring announcer name. Do you see Impact making any future signings from anybody who's left any major promotions recently? And I think he's talking maybe Rich Swann. Any talk about Enzo now that his no compete's up?
I would say anything's a possibility, right? I mean, it's wrestling. Yeah, I would say anything's possible. I don't know if there's been any talks. I mean, that's probably a little bit more hush hush. They probably keep that tighter and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say anything's possible. I wouldn't rule anything out in wrestling. But you know, I mean, right now we're kind of building up towards Slammiversary, which is I believe it's July 22nd, and they announced that's going to be in Toronto.
The video package for that was phenomenal.
Yeah, they do great video package. Our production people here are great, and it really helps us as a company because, you know, we have so much to film in a week. You know, we literally can't get all the matches, and we'd be here for like 5 hours a night. So we do have to do a lot of like production and all that kind of stuff, video packages, and those guys, you know, do a great job doing all that stuff.
Can you see quitting wrestling early to become an agent?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a different type of fun, unlike I talked about before. I mean, I love wrestling and stuff like that, and I like going out there and doing that, but you know, there's something about like I know I can't do like a double backflip, whatever the case may be, you know, where some of these other guys are like super athletic and they can do that stuff, and I could come up with ideas as well. I'm like, oh, what do you think about this and this? I physically can't do it, but maybe these guys can, and to have my input and make that like come to life, maybe things I was thinking about when I was younger and stuff that I never got to do. So yeah, it's a different type of fun, and I like, you know, I just like it. Like, I'm really big into like film and stuff like that. I remember back when Vine was a big thing. Do you remember Vine?
Mm-hmm.
those 6 or 7 second videos. I love, even though there were 6 or 7 seconds, I love blocking out things and producing them and cutting and all that kind of stuff. And I had a big following on there because there was some funny stuff, and I really enjoy doing that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I could see myself. I already quit once early, so now I'm older. So I mean, it's got to stop sometime.
Here's what I think we should do. We just started a new YouTube channel. What I'd like to challenge you with, whether it's today or later, why don't you cut a video of just giving people a tour of the Impact Zone, or is it even still the Impact Zone now?
Yeah, it's still the Impact Zone.
Why don't you give us a little tour and send me the video, and I'll post it on Facebook. A little 5-minute, look, here's the stage, here's people sit, boom.
Yeah, I mean, let me run that by him, see if I could do that, and yeah, I could put that up there to see where all the magic happens, kind of.
I think it'd
behind
be fun.
The scenes. Yeah. I mean, I had to get approval, obviously, from everybody, but yeah, I mean, I would like that. I mean, that's something that I would like to do. I don't think it's it's not like we're. Yeah. I think it could be done.
I put you on the spot, by the way. Double A wants to know.
No.
Double A wants to know, if you had a male pet giraffe, what would you name him?
Oh, definitely Sparky. Or Baxter. I like Baxter because then I could come home. Obviously, my giraffe lives at my place. I don't know where I would keep him, but I'd find a way.
Does it smell like mahogany?
My dog's kennel. Cut a hole in the top, and the giraffe's head could stick out. And then Baxter could look at me chewing grass and stuff with his purple tongue, and I could be like, "What's that, Baxter? You ate a whole wheel of cheese?" I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. That's what I would name him. Probably Baxter.
I'd go with George because they both sound like G. Geo Dominic wants to know, have you ever wrestled Austin Aries, and how does he feel about you?
Yeah, I wrestled him. We were married to each other at Ring of Honor for a while. The reason why I didn't like the feud is because they were doing their whole TV stuff, but then they also had house shows. And on the house shows, I'm like challenging him for the world title, and I'm like, I haven't even been on you guys' TV. Like, nobody's going to believe I'm going to win the world title. But we had some good matches and stuff like that. And, and I've wrestled him here before on Impact as well. It might have been multiple man matches and stuff. But, no, I get along with Aries. Great. He's a class act guy. He knows what he's doing. He always delivers in the ring. He always has great ideas and stuff. But we go way back, man, before he was, world champion at Impact the first time around, or went to WWE and all that kind of stuff. So I think he respects the fact that we all kind of started off, at the same playing field. We were all kind of in the same position. So, yeah, no, I get along with him super great.
Let's go back to this buzz while we still have you for a couple more minutes. Listen, when you have to go, just say thanks. That's usually, but
yeah.
Let's talk about this buzz, because you guys are really coming off a high. This was your coming out party. I really thought WrestleMania weekend was an amazing step forward for you guys, especially with Lucha. What's the plan to build on the momentum that has slowly been building, and well-deserved? I don't know if it's well-deserved. It's well-deserved recently, and you guys are rehabbing your image. What are some of the talks about building on the momentum?
Well, I think what we're really trying to do is, and this is what it seems like, we're trying to tell great stories. If you look at the OVE and Eddie Edwards thing, like, that's a good story, and I mean, we're gonna keep that going for a little bit. And those guys are delivering. Like, we're leaving it up to the talent to, like, go in there and deliver off their storylines. It's great writing as well as great producing, like we said before. But we're also giving the guys that can really go in the ring, which is a majority of our roster, and just be like, go out there and have a great match, and tear it up. And we're gonna give you like 10, 15 minutes to do it, so you guys aren't rushed and stuff. And we're putting on the talent to deliver. Like, this is what you guys want. This is what we're gonna give you. So we're gonna give like really good athletic wrestling and stuff, as well as telling good stories. I mean, that's what I believe people want to see.
Yeah, and it's okay to have characters in wrestling again. It seemed like the Attitude Era really, and on a different podcast, I really have this thought about the Attitude Era, how we need to stop looking at it with such romantic eyes. But that's neither here nor there. But it ruined characters in wrestling. And I think there's still room for that on television.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's tough to always build characters and be creative to make characters different and stuff like that, making sure storylines aren't the same or haven't been repeated and stuff like that. But we have a lot of great characters out here. If you look at LAX, man, I mean, they're so hot, like right now and forever. And LAX was around since the first time I was around here. So like just characters like that and stuff. But then not only do they have to be a good character, but they have to deliver in matches too. So if you look at guys like LAX, I mean, they always have phenomenal matches. Like whenever I see them on the card, whoever they're with, I'm like, that's gonna be a good match, you know. And I know the fans are gonna be behind LAX because LAX is awesome.
Did you see the pictures of the new belts before they hit the internet? I saw them maybe a night or two. I don't remember when they become public on social media. But had you seen the pictures well before that?
Before I actually saw the belt?
Yes.
I would say no. Sorry, I was just saying goodbye to Sanjay and Jimmy.
Well, you know.
I saw them. You know what? Maybe I did see them online. I wasn't too worried about them. I mean,
they look good.
Yeah. I mean, they look good. They're better than the last ones. I knew they were gonna look good. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say about that. I don't think. I mean, we knew we needed to get new belts and stuff, not just covered up with a logo. But I mean, we were kind of, you know, we had to wait for the new belts to come in, and it's tough when you film like all 1 week. It's not like, oh, these will be ready next week. Well, we're filming right now, and we're filming like 12 shows right now, so it's going to look like we're not trying to get new belts. Yeah, we are, and we did, and I thought they looked really good.
Brian BQ wants to know, does he think a feud in a match with what you had with Seidel was a step in a new direction for the X Division? We've been accustomed to random multi-man matches prior to that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be multi-man matches. But, you know, there's also going to be a center X Division feud always because somebody has the title. But, yeah, it's a step in the right direction. I think, you know, you got to remember Matt Seidel it's not Matt Seidel, Petey Williams 15 years ago, you know, so I think we're smarter. You know, I think we told a good story in the ring. And, you know, I think that's what X Division has to do. Like, it's not just go out there. I mean, I love watching when guys go out there and just, like, tear it up and stuff like that. But still, like, when there's a belt on the line, you should be telling a story, not just going out there doing a bunch of moves and stuff like that to pop the crowd. It's like you have to tell the story, too. And that's what Matt and I try to do while still try to get in, you know, like cool stuff that the X Division's about as well.
I almost became best friends with Frankie while you were gone.
I did see that on Twitter.
Were you a little jealous?
Short time that I was on there.
Were you jealous?
No, of who? I mean, if you and I are best friends, Frankie and I are like second best friends. So if we're all together, we could be like all co-best friends.
I think he's a little worried. You need to massage his ego and say, "Hey, listen, it's okay." But the funny story is that I'm cruising through Twitter and he's like, "Hey, lighten up a cigar, ask me questions," and just out of boredom because wrestlers don't like to really talk wrestling when they're not wrestling. So I was like, "Hey, can we be best friends?" And it just went downhill from there.
Oh, it did? I'm sorry.
No, not in a bad way. I mean, for him in a bad way. For me, it was entertaining.
Oh, okay.
So,
no, Frankie's a really cool dude. I've known him for so long. Yeah, but, I mean, if you ask him to be best friends, I think I literally asked him one day. I'm like, we were friends, and I said, hey, can we be best friends? And, yeah, we can be best friends. That was short-lived, though, but there.
Well, so we take after the same way of asking him. Let's wrap this up because you've got to get going. What's the rest of your?
Show's over. I gotta get.
What's the rest of your schedule like before you head home now?
Well, we have another day of filming tomorrow. I have a lot to film tomorrow. I think I have to wrestle tomorrow as well as film a lot of stuff. This big storyline angle we have coming up. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy day tomorrow. That's why I wanted to kind of get this in right now. I aged in my last match on headset. And then I think there was 2 more matches, so I'm like, let's get this done. I think I was texting you like, hey, let's do this in about 20 minutes because then that's when I'll be done. And then, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it's busy, and then I get to go home on Friday and then chill for a little bit. Well, not really, because then it just picks up from there. But the 2-hour plane ride home will be nice and chill.
Do you have any upcoming bookings we should know about before, I let you go and then continue with the rest of the podcast?
No, it's just taking some time off, and then May 19th we're going to be together, right?
Yeah,
you talked about that.
So far, I'm still not sure how bad I'm going to screw this up, but yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, just do your homework, man. Like I've been telling you, I hope you've been like doing at least an hour of homework a night.
Easily a night. You did say just sit on the couch and do nothing, right? Because I've been doing that like a champ.
Yeah, right.
So, Pete, thanks. I feel like I'm just got done interviewing you for my wrestling podcast.
Hey, a lot happened in the past couple of days, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about it more once it unfolds on TV, and when I have a little bit more time and I could kind of like sit down, and we could, I could let it sink in, and I'd be like, oh yeah, this happened, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk more about it.
Sounds good, buddy. Before we send you guys home here at the Wrestling Perspective Podcast with myself and the Petey Williams, we have a little bit of house cleaning to do that we want you guys to stick around and listen to. For one, thank you so much, whoever is already subscribed. Go over to Wrestling Perspective Podcast. All the links to the podcast, wherever you listen, are there. Thank you for subscribing. Tell a friend. That's how we grow. That's how the community grows. And we can't do it without your help. And to show you that, we are giving away James Ellsworth or Petey Williams autographed pictures thanking you for listening to the podcast. All you have to do is share the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, MySpace, People PC, Friendster, Grindr, I don't know, wherever else you might go, Christian Mingle, wherever you listen to your podcasts, subscribe and then tell a friend. When you're done telling a friend, you can email us at wrestlingperspective@gmail.com or go over to the website and click contact us and just tell us that you've done that. And that will get you entered into winning one of the pictures. We will give them away here in a couple weeks. But, we just want to try to get back to you guys for doing the work for us and helping us out. A few people I want to thank right off the bat is, first of all, the Irish Whip podcast. Those guys have been amazing supporters of us. Go over to irishwhippodcast.com. Great, phenomenal people. Salt of the earth. You would like them. Sharpshooter Steve and Russ, who run the Facebook page, we want to thank them. Chris at knockdown_media on Twitter, who runs our Twitter page and that. Amazing work. Chris, I can't thank you enough for coming over with us and putting in the work to help us grow this brand. And I just want to say thank you. Look, James Ellsworth and the Dougcast is a new addition. It's been amazing. I want to thank everybody who's listened to that and has found this, or has listened to this and has found that podcast. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully one of you guys win this picture, a couple of these pictures. Amazing. Petey and I, or every day, we just talk about how amazing this is, that this thing has taken off. Thank you very much. As I said, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. That's kind of your one-stop shop. Tell your friends. Amazing. But thank you guys. And remember, you can follow James Ellsworth at Real Ellsworth, at Petey Williams at Petey Williams. Follow me, Dennis77 Farrell. This is this week's Wrestling Perspective Podcast. Thank you so much, guys.